So I just banned someone, and I'd like to explain why. Someone was critiquing for someone else, and this person starts critiquing the critique by saying, don't mind the people critiquing, your work is great, they didn't even give you a single compliment, their art is worse than yours. If that's the only way you know how to talk, you can get the hell out of this community, okay? This community has a very specific rule. What is the rule? Let's find it. What the heck is this about community? All right, let's take a look at the rules. I hate you, Google+. All right, where is the disclosure? All right. Where are you? All right. Any violation of these above rules, which are very reasonable, will result in a rejected image or complete ban. If you are not prepared to receive extensive critique on your work and only respond to constructive criticism by antagonizing or dismissing valid suggestion on your work, please do not post in this group. Any negative attitude is not welcome and will not be tolerated. This page is not a gallery for your art. You can provide feedback for others and learn altogether. This group is not for self-promotion. If you do not have any interest in critiques, your work is not welcome as only an exhibit wherein you expect compliments. If you are confused about a suggestion or topic, please ask. Please do not link personal merchandise. Please do not engage in irrelevant discussion. Please do not post any kind of porn, smut, gore, all that nasty stuff. Referencing, some basic rules on how to use references. What is a good reference? What isn't? You cannot post more than once in a 24-hour period unless it is 14-day challenge. If you post references, please attach the reference. Do not post a bare image. Include your work. Include some words with your work, thoughts, anything that you have to say about your upload. Uploading digital, traditional, single sketches, line art will result in removal unless it's a theme month related challenge submission. One must upload a minimum of 3 or more line art sketches in a post. Do not post single sketches daily or more than one in a day. Okay, so this is not for compliments only, though compliments are given regularly, but this is not to gain compliments. If you post your work for the sake of compliments, you will be, and you're showing signs of disdain against the critiquing mission statement of this community, you will be kicked out. And as I just did, I kicked somebody out. You're not welcome if you're only here when you are expecting critiques, okay? So this is a community that I've built. These are moderators that go through this community every day. They take time out of their lives to manage and moderate this community. And I'm not going to have this break out into some crazy feeding frenzy for your egos. So if you have issues with the fact that this is a critique-based community, get on out, all right? So that said, let us talk about art and critiquing and about everything that's going on. So Portrait Studio was updated with a part 1 update. Part 2 update is coming very shortly, probably before the end of this week. And for those who are having issues with your Portrait Studio running on your computer, if you bought a $250 Walmart laptop 3 years ago on Black Friday and you can't even run Minecraft or League of Legends or Minesweeper on your computer, most likely you will not be able to run a lighting engine. Please make sure that when you are deleting your computers or reformatting, you are backing up your download file. Very, very soon we will change it into a licensing. We have the email of every single person that has ever bought a Portrait Studio copy with us. We have your email. And we will make it so that when you log in, you will get your copy, just like they do in Minecraft launcher. But until then, please make sure that your copies are backed up. That you are not expecting us, and we've sold quite a bit of them. You're not expecting us to provide you with a backup. This goes for anything you buy online. No one is expected to save copies for you for digital merchandise. Okay, digital merchandise is intangible. It's digital. You have to make sure you back up responsibly. All right, so please make sure that you are, one, downloading Portrait Studio with a computer that is at least 2 years old, at most, sorry, 2 years old, that you are not trying to run a lighting engine on a notebook or something that is just generally really, really bad and gimmicky type of computer that you're having trouble running Photoshop in. By gauging it, if you can't run Photoshop or use a large brush without it lagging, you most likely cannot use Portrait Studio. If the old Portrait Studio worked for you, it's improved. It has more components. It's become a larger program. It's become a gigabyte and more. So this program is only going to keep improving. So please, instead of buying Battlefront and wasting any more money on EA or whatever the hell that name is for that game, and buying any more games, just save your money so that you can make a good down payment with a Best Buy credit card and get a decent 600 plus, 700 plus PC for your Photoshop and art needs, okay? A computer is your life force. It is your lifeblood. If you want to paint digitally, you need a good computer. If you haven't come to terms with the fact that you need a good computer, I don't know what to tell you. You're working digitally. You're going to have to just eventually just invest in one. I invested in one when I wouldn't make more than $100 a month. And I just sent all my money to Best Buy every single month and paid off my little computer. It was the one I taught with. It was the one I started my channel with, and it cost $650. $650 costs less than a friggin' Apple phone. And I'm very, very sure you guys are begging your moms and dads to update your phones for an iPhone X or a Note 8 or whatever. Okay? A computer is worth it. Please buy a computer. Don't get a phone. Get something that'll help you and help you with your work. Please look out for integrated graphics cards. That's stuff you can't get rid of unless you disable it and do a bunch of business. Try to get a decent graphics card that's at least its own component, that is a separate component from the computer's motherboard or whatever it's called. I'm not a computer tech, but I know enough that if the graphics card comes attached to the computer, it's probably a really crappy graphics card. It's not been outsourced to a really high quality manufacturer like NVIDIA or something like that. If you have an NVIDIA of any kind, I think it'll be able to run Portrait Studio just fine. It runs on 5-year-old computers, so just because the NVIDIA graphics card is separate. So it is heavy on your RAM, but not by a lot compared to how much it expects out of your graphics component, okay? So if you are planning to get a computer, which I really recommend, both for Photoshop and Portrait Studio, which is going to get even bigger, please invest in a decent graphics card. Build it yourself. Newegg.com has amazing deals all the time. It's where I go to get my stuff. So yeah, that's all that I wanted to cover for today. Update is coming up. Please don't try to download Portrait Studio and run it on a bad computer. If you can't download it right now, you will have that download ready for you. Portrait Studio is yours until you get a decent computer and you can re-download it. Just contact us and we'll be able to send you your download link. Okay, so any more questions about anyone's experiences with Portrait Studio? I want to just get all these questions out of the way. Please don't use my form submission for tutoring to ask your Portrait Studio questions. Please. That's not what it's meant for. It's on the tutoring website tab because that's for tutoring. So don't apply Portrait Studio questions there. We have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have the Google community, you have everywhere to go to ask about Portrait Studio issues. Please stop using my private tutoring email. I got a GTX 160 on any game on Ultra. Smug. One of these days I'm going to get a 1080 Ti and an NVMe hard drive, and I'll show you guys what I'll run. I wanted to know, Istebrak, how can I get a critique from you? You submit on the Google community. This is the Google community. You submit your work. If it fits my theme, if it fits anything that I'd like to talk about for the day, I usually talk about it. Let's get on to the critique. This is what it's all about, actually doing this stuff. The bigger the channel seems to get, the more I have stuff I have to clarify and forward each video with. So I'm sorry for those who have to skip through all this. Okay, quite a big project ahead of us right now. It is a very, very extensively filled painting with a couple of mistakes. and I'd like to talk about them. I will not be resizing the canvas, though I do have to tell you the size of the canvas is a tile, and that's not good. That's always bad. What do we have to talk about? So we have this big fat moon in the background that's been ignored. It's been turned into Swiss cheese, into a block of Swiss cheese. All right, that's not good. Oops. Oh, come on. Stupid clingy. Okay, and I'm gonna try to pull this off over here. All right. Sorry, just want to make sure the lasso is good because the quality of paint over is affected by this lasso selection. Never mind, this is all over here. And what I want to be doing is talking about a silhouette again. So you guys really, really do ignore your silhouettes, and god damn it, this is so hard to do. Alright, I think that's a good enough amount right over here. Alright, Wonder Woman has nothing on me, dude. Alright. So the silhouette is created by the moon in the background. The moon in the background is a light source, and it has an opportunity here to change, one, the light environment, and work with the fur of the character here to kind of outline them, even though they're going to be in a state of silhouette. So when you're in a silhouette, and your character's in a silhouette, sorry, you, the artist, are afraid of one really big thing, which is losing your character. And yes, that is possible. You will lose your character, but there are ways to bring back the form, the detail, by slightly escaping the silhouette, pretending there's some kind of camera on the canvas, light on the camera. Okay, so nearly done with this lasso, and I promise this lasso is not gonna take any longer. It's just a quick little way to ensure the before and after is nice and clean and fun for all the viewers. Okay. So it's really, really big project. You know, it's just like two people working on customer service for Portrait Studio. And if you're not getting your responses right away, just wait. And try to see, before you ask a question, try to see if it's already been answered. We are going to be updating the Q&A, the FAQ, sorry, on the website, on my website. So you'll be able to get some quick answers if that's what you're looking for. And that's going to be a bunch, almost 100 form studies for you guys for Form Studio. And I wanted to be able to show you guys what the update part 2 looks like, but I'll just leave it as a surprise. We showed you a lot last time. Okay, so that's the moon right there, and what I'm gonna do is just keep my lasso safe and just use dodge tool, oopsie, on midtones, and just start escalating the value. It's not going to be bright anywhere. It's going to be bright on the toughest, hardest part of the moon, which is the center. Alright. Then I'm going to select inverse, grab the light environment color. Why am I doing that? Because it's moonlight. It's nighttime. There is a light environment. There is a room. And that's the room that I'm going to follow to find out exactly what I need to do with this character. These two things alone have boosted this painting so far into a whole new level of skill. Just these two things alone. Respecting your light source and providing us with a good color wash. Just these things alone. Yeah, you had your little star fighter thingy here. I might suggest you either silhouette it and not let it be as bright as the moon. I don't know how a tiny little wand ends up being brighter than a moon. It just shows the kind of disrespect you guys have for your light environments. But just this alone has changed the painting completely. Okay, and that's because what were the two fundamentals I just worked on? Now there are other things we can do. Other things that will make this look wonderful. The first and most important thing is the glare of the light source. So I've selected the inverse, entered a new layer using soft brush on a pretty white value. Let's say we're using it on color dodge. I'm just going to give us some glow coming off this moon. I'm going to delete it wherever we get on the silhouette. Silhouette means an object is in front of the light, and that object is not transparent or translucent. It is hard, so we consider it as an opaque object first. The brush mode I used to silhouette the little owl wizard is, I used the blue, this right here, blue. Let me make sure you guys can see my mouse. Okay, good. And I used it on darken layer. Okay, so off, off, and then complete before. Look at that. What was that? Was that a rock? Was it a pebble behind him? It's a moon. Make it behave like a moon. Darken as you need to, because once you do that, then you can do this. Let me show you, man. Get our dodge tool. Get it on highlights. Illuminate and saturate. So let me take a look. What were the two fundamentals I just covered? Okay. Let me see. No, dodge tool is not a fundamental. As much as you guys would love that, dodge tool is not a fundamental. Dodge tool is a fundamental, excuse me. Dodge tool is a revolutionary tool, and it has snuck its way into the pillars of silhouette and respecting light source. Yeah, but what does that mean? Subsurface scattering, yes, that's coming up. Please don't say that. Daniel, retract that message. Feathers are difficult. Some light comes through. Yes, exactly. That's what we're doing right now. But what are the two main fundamentals? So it was respecting your light source and the silhouette. Exactly. Thank you, Hamish. Big golden star for Hamish. Round of applause. Respect your light environment. Exactly. That's the fundamental. And out of that, of course, we have a silhouette. So respecting your light environment means the color of the light source, and respecting your light environment means the value of your light source. Two big qualities. One is bright and one is blue. The blue shows up on the object. The bright shows up on the light source behind him. So now we have this little dude selected now, and what we're going to do is have some fun with some highlights. Okay, so I'm going to start showing where this little dude is no longer very, very opaque, is no longer pure hard, and we have is subsurface scattering sneaking its way through. It's not everywhere, and I'm gonna have to select, so I'm just throwing it everywhere. You can be messy, okay? It's just like makeup. You can just be as messy as you want. But what I'm doing is finding a good mid-tone value. So I'm going to get this red, and I'm going to use that on his fur over here. It's a color imbalance that you've got. He's also not dark enough around here on his cheek, so I'm going to get shadows. You got to be dark enough in order for subsurface scattering to work. Write that back to me. That's a very, very big fundamental, you guys. If your character isn't dark enough, you will not be able to pull off the subsurface scattering. Subsurface scattering works because you are in a shadow, and if your character isn't dark enough, it won't be like they're in a shadow. I'm going to color correct. I'm going to grab that main red and shift it down into the more kind of acidic, kind of cool red, and I'm going to move back up into purples, right back where we started at the top. And I'm just going to throw that purple just over everything to make sure we're not dealing with daytime reds. Daytime reds are cherry, kind of like a cranberry red, just a pure apple red. And that's not what we're dealing with when we're talking about these little characters. Okay, so this guy is very purple because he's in a dark room. that is blue. And then finally I'm going to rush one more blue filter over top everything. Again, it's nighttime. Not sure why my computer's freaking out. It's really loud. Alright, I'm going to just color correct this as well. This yellow coming off the wand. I'm going to take care of that. And then I'm going to go back to my dodge tool and just keep dodging. The stem of the feather is not opaque. It's not transparent. It's not translucent. The stem of the feather is hard. It's not see-through, basically. I'm so worried about saying the word hard around you immature people. Okay, so we've got some coming over through here. Look at that. Come on. We got some stuff coming over. It's okay if it's all over the background. I'm going to, again, select the background and delete where I need to. It's coming all the way around here. I'm thinking about it on the inside. I'm trying to think. Imagine he lost all his feathers, the shape of his body. That's what I'm drawing right now with my brush. Okay. A little bit more in here. Remember that feathers are like a bat feather. The wing is like a bat wing. The bone is just at the top, and the feathers kind of fill in the spaces. You gotta be black to subsurface. Master Roshi and Ethan's face. Oh man. Okay, so I'm just gonna get my basic brush, no color modes, nothing fancy, and just grab one of these subsurface scattering colors and just use it on this area here, and try that dodge tool again. It's got to be dark for it to work. Okay, see that? Ooh. And then after, nice and blue and toasty and pretty and out of the way. So I'm going to merge all this down, select everything, and then go to before I started dodging. Alright, and I'm doing that because I need to erase away. Gotta merge these babies down. At wherever the background has been affected by my dodge tool. So I'm just trying to use some lasso here. Subsurface scattering happens only on the object that is transparent. The subsurface scattering doesn't happen in a light source unless it's a glowy object. And it's glowing from the inside out, which is what subsurface scattering really is. So technically, no, it's not on every single object. So subsurface scattering does not affect light sources. It affects only objects. Right, what am I doing? Okay, where else is that? So see that? The subsurface scattering is now only on him. And in order for this to make sense, we have to borrow some of the subsurface scattering color, which is this whitish blue. I'm actually going to use this one right here, right at the edge, on color layer, and I'm going to throw it over anything that the light has passed through. I might do it on soft light. Oops. Alright, and that means that the color of the light source, as well as the magnitude of the light source, has passed through the object. And that's how we get subsurface scattering. Okay, so I still want to be able to make this little area bright enough. And you see, he's still focal point, and we've still respected the light source. So it's not that you've lost every last thing you worked so hard on. Take a chill pill. It's not about, you know, every choice you made as being the right choice. Artists make this mistake all the time. They think every choice they make is sacred and they can't go back and edit it as much as it needs. and that's where all your mistakes come from. Now that he's the focal point, we're going to desaturate the background just a bit. When we bring in a silhouette and respect our light source, we really have fun. We really end up reaping the rewards. A beautiful atmosphere, a believable light environment, just everything looks realistic and it looks like it's glowing. I'm going to throw a rim of purple all the way around just to add to that magical kind of glow. all the way around the moon. And I'm going to have little spikes of saturation just around the background. It's not everywhere. It's not on every last square foot of this sky area in the photograph. It's just wherever we have pieces of blue coming through. Then we have, so before, dull, after, nice and magical. Do you see that? I might even just go for like a very, very blue, but only around the rim of the moon. I think that's really, really cute. It adds to this angelic kind of cuteness to the character. Just a hint of blue everywhere. Gotta be careful though to use it only around the focal point. It might confuse everyone. Then I'm gonna get this background value, which I think I'm gonna make even brighter in a second. And just start throwing in those glares. So there's glares popping through, pop, 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 disrupting the outline of the character. I'm not going to throw them everywhere, or I'm not going to keep them everywhere, but throw them everywhere just to see what I can work with. So some are peeking through here, some are peeking through right over here. You see these little pieces? They just add to that heavenly glow. He's just in front of the light source, kind of like those anime bubbly moments when your little pet finally shows up and saves you from the evil monster or whatever. Okay, and that's what we want. This is considered pinup. This is considered, you know, like top of the line. Let's put our best clothes on type of setup. Pinup doesn't always mean tits. Pinup just means that the character is in a pinup state, that they're, you know, it means pinup, but it also means the best presentation kind of illustration. So the kind of illustrations you see in Overwatch or League of Legends or whatever else uses it, because I don't game a lot. Okay, so we have before, after, and then the complete before and after. In my opinion, I would adjust everything completely. I would get rid of a lot of this color. Okay, so before, after. All right. What else would I change? I would try to make this a little bit more bright. So, magical bird attack. Yeah, so I'm going to just make this lasso a little bit more perfect. And I'm going to make the background even more bright. This is up to you. I really recommend it. We're using a lot of stuff that only happens when the background is bright. Of course, we're in a silhouette. So I'm just going to lower this down to 50 and just see which layer mode I like. If you want to switch through all the layer modes, you just make sure the selection of the layer mode is blue. And then just get rid of that. And you can just mess and see which one has the best effect that you like. Something that's really fun to do, which I really want to experiment with right now, is I get this really random color and I'm going to just fill the entire white of the background. Then I'm going to go through all the layer modes and see what they offer. So look at that. Color burn burns only the darker colors and leaves the rest of the stuff white. It's still not bright enough for me though. Then we've got some blue left behind with color dodge, which might be the one I go with. Then we've got something a little bit more relaxed with overlay. I think the rest are pretty much done. Demonic sacrifice. This is always a good one. Divide is actually really nice. I brought in that pink and the brightness. I think the pink is really cute as well. Okay. One thing that I'm just going to go with a bright blue on the color dodge. Lower opacity. This color dodge is intense. Look at that, I'm 10%. And I just need just the last little bit of brightness peeking through. Okay. One thing I have to do is select and color correct the character here, because he is very not right color. And that means he's still too red. The source color was a bit too, this is cute, but it's not the right kind of light environment. This is good for like a sunset scene, really cute. But what I want is something a little bit more cool. So just over here, he's still red. If you were to say, what color is this guy? You'd say he's red. He's just not a very daylight red. Do you see that? And the blues just got more cool, so it looks even better. What I would do to the background, I don't like that super, what the hell just happened? I don't like that super dark, that super bright thing going on. So wait, this one. No, this one. Did I already merge it down? Yeah, I already merged it down. So I might, like the super sharpness in the background, so I might just blur it. So where's my blur tool? I might just make it a little bit more dreamy and blur it. These pieces I'm actually going to erase just a little bit more. They're just the little glares that pop through. I'm actually going to smudge his feathers, just to pretend like there is. I'm going to grab my, which one is the best for this? I'm going to grab my number 4 smudging brush. It's my favorite one, especially for fur. And I'm just going to tickle, tickle, tickle. Just everywhere. There's one last little amazingly fun feature we can do, which is the white. Sometimes subsurface scattering is so strong, we get a white rim around everything. And that is what I'm going to do next after everything is done. I'm going to try to just get my little brush and take care of it. But before that, I'm just going to blur the light environment just a little bit more, just to make it more dreamy, more Sailor Moon kind of thinking about tuxedo mask kind of thing. Just smudgy, smudgy, smudge. I don't know if you guys know about this deviant artist, but he always draws cats. He's drawn cats for a decade now. It's Applefist. He smudges the crap and he blurs the crap out of his work, and it works. Everyone loves it. And that's because of that dreamy effect that it has, like a very delightful, dreamy effect. I think there might be subsurface scattering on this little thingy-majig that he's got, and that means I have to do all my dodging, go back before, copy, paste, whatever layer I had, and clean up my subsurface scattering right over here. Okay, and I'm just going to make the shadow of the body of the bird. You see that? That's how subsurface scattering is, the most immediate shadow. And then we blur, 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 blur. Tickle, tickle, tickle. Okay. Shadows, though, get displaced, so even though his body ends right here, the shadow might be just a bit outside of that. And then just tickle, tickle, tickle. Okay? Alright. Then we have that fun stuff I was talking about. I'm going to get my pencil brush and then get all the way up to 100% and just show where these little outlines happen. And these outlines work best when you are outside of the area of the light source. Okay, so they just work best out here. I'm not sure what all this stuff is though. Some stuff might have snuck in through here. Some snuff might have snuck in through here. That's his foot? Oh, it's his foot? Oh, okay. It still works. It's still a biological, so it'll still be subsurface. We might have just a bit of rim light on his hat. Look at that. That is some hella fun rim light right there. I might have to smudge and blur away at that. Then we might have just a little bit of rim light all the way around his hat toward the outside. And don't do too much because then you're going to flatten everything. It's only on the side that's facing the light source. And the rim light happens because there's tiny little microfibers on the hat that catch the light. Okay, and then we've got a couple more on this hat over here. And that's about it. I do have to select I think the clouds are way too messy. I think you've got really, really messy background. Either go dark or just don't do this, whatever you did here. It seems like the clouds are glowing by themselves, like it's smoke. And if you want it to be smoke, that's cool. I'll show you how to do that. But just, there needs to be like a region where just the background just got dark because the moonlight isn't reaching everything. So I'm just going to show you where this region is, which looks nice already. But of course we just got to do some editing. So I'm going to delete any of that darkness that hit the light source, and then I'm just going to edit as I go out. See that? You just had too much. It felt like it was just glowing. And if he does have like magical dust, just, you know, as he jumped, he had this adorable magical dust just jump out of everything. I'm just going to do some erase. When you try to make a cloud texture or a fog texture, erase with the same brush you painted with, so you get the texture as you erase. Maybe he farted and that was the energy. Fog tends to be very ominous, so if you're not going to do it cute with blue rim light, don't do it at all. Alright, I'm going to just, what am I doing? I'm smudging, so get my brush and just smudge away at his little gas explosion. Alright, so that's how you would do the gas. It's just flowing on its own. And that's if you want to do that. Okay, you do it towards the bottom, it goes up, and try to show that it's like a surface disturbance that he caused. And that's it. There is one thing I just noticed. Thank God I noticed it. And that is the shadow of his foot skeleton. Now that I know this is a foot. On his foot right there. So that's the foot skeleton, the bone of the foot reaching the foot area. But it's so skinny because he has so much fur that it's not actually all the way. It's just the subsurface scattering still envelops it. And then I'm going to go in the background. I'm going to go in the before and grab the outline, the lasso of his wand. God help me with that. And I'm going to, oh Lord in heaven. Oh, this was easy. Okay. Select. No, you don't need those little explosions. These are, you don't need them. They can be actual electricity. You don't actually need these little bolts here. Okay, so let's edit this bad boy. So we grab this color. Actually, I'm going to grab the background color, and I'm going to grab some of that purple color as well. And if it is glowing, you can make it glow inside out. It doesn't have to be this super duper light source. I mean, it would be really bad to throw one light source against another light source, especially if it's a silhouette. You don't need to do that. What you can do is make it feel like this little wand is glowing inside out. Okay. So I'm just cleaning up this mess I made. And then getting my dodge tool. And just trying to make it glow inside out. Oh, whoops, that's the shadow part. So this is also silhouette and subsurface. Get it? It still looks magical. It's just not, you know, it's only glowing on one side. Remember the cube? It's just not it's just not a, here, let me see if I can close some shit. I don't know why my computer's freaking out. Quit. I don't know what else is doing this. I think I gave too much RAM to Photoshop. That's why it's doing that. But just some fun little subsurface scattering here on the wand. I'm only doing this because I'm assuming you gotta have the wand. If you don't have the wand, you can always just attach it to his little belt or something. I just am not comfortable with it being so sharp an object beside his head. It might cause some confusion in the focal point. So that's why I'm just going to bring it down. Oops. So before okay, after, right, nice and glowy. It really gets to you. We can still see him. His silhouette doesn't mean black it out. Just because Google, stupid Google, yields black against white silhouette doesn't mean that that's what a silhouette is, especially not in an illustration. An illustration breaks all rules. I'm going to make his eyes a little bit more glowy. It's just to show that he's got some inner magic. I can't do too much around his face, but And I'm going to do some last minute little dodges here and there. Especially here. I'm really loving his wing. Anywhere out here. Yeah, one wing and the beak are wrong. I don't care, really. It's cartoon anatomy. If you're wasting a lot of time critiquing cartoon anatomy, it's not the sign of a developed artist. Cartoon anatomy. Cartoon anatomy goes as far as function, and that's it. If you're trying to actually reproduce animal anatomy, you got the whole idea wrong. If it's for children, you don't want to draw actual animals to them because it starts to look like a textbook to a child. So I don't mind it. I don't mind. This could be a bit bigger, but it might be in the background. It doesn't matter. You could try to cast some shadows. So there is some kind of light attached to the camera. Cast some shadows off some of these little scarves here. Cast a deeper shadow off the hat. That might be a little cuter. Just something to respond to the light source nearby that's allowing us to see him. It might be the moon. It might be some bounce light coming off the moon. But I think that's about it, as much as we need. There is one more little major core light that's needed on him. Just something that moves around. I'm just going to outline it excessively this way. And that's because he is a big ball. He's just a big ball of feathers. So he needs something to show that he is three-dimensional. Even though he is being flattened by a light environment that is a silhouette, he's still visible. Again, he's still visible. Okay, so I think that's it for this paint over. Before, after. And this is it. This is the secret to creating an impact with an environment. And sorry, and creating something that feels lovable, feels beautiful. The blur, that Gaussian blur that we have, the saturated colors, the animal anatomy, the cute cartoon anatomy, the subsurface scattering, they've all added to the effect of this dreamy atmosphere, magical, cutesy atmosphere. The hat feels a little boring to me. You might want to make it a different color. You might also want to just make it glow on its own. That might help you along, making it feel more magical. But other than that, I think that's it. Before, after. Same exact thing we did with that one, what was it called? Something night? Bug night? I don't know. Just another hipster game. So that's done. Then we have this. And I'm a bit confused with the narrative. If she's drowning, she should be a little bit more distressed. A lot more distressed. Maybe she's just floating and she missed her boat and she's crying. She looks very, very old, but at the same time young because of the size of her head. So I would get rid of those forehead marks. Really, if you're depending on forehead marks and wrinkles to pull off the expression, you're not a very good expression artist. Let the eyebrows do the talking. If she's young, even though, yes, she is drowning, don't give her those dark circles. Even if it is nighttime, you want to show some of the white in her eyes because she's looking very old. And remember how old overlaps with villain and sick overlaps with old and sick overlaps with villain? It's all working right now. She's looking like an old evil person who finally lost and is giving up. Also, she's very sick because she's drowning. So what I want to do is show some of the white in her eyes. And then I'm going to... I'm not sure where the surface of the water is. I feel like the surface of the water should be a little bit more high. But I'm just going to work with what you did. And whatever is allowing us to see her has also illuminated the water beneath her. So if you do a little thing like that, and some of that water is coming through, just floating around her, then it'll explain where all of her light is coming from. I think this is a good way. It's kind of like a spotlight, and we're just throwing that spotlight everywhere, staging wise. But generally there should be more light in the image. It seems like a single frame from a comic book that you decided to blow up and make an illustration. There isn't enough going on for this to be a complete illustration. It's just too specific an act. She's looking in the direction of something. Other than floating in space, she's not really doing much. If you had made it a bird's eye view and someone on a boat looking down at her in this position, that would have been a little bit more interesting. This seems like it wasn't developed much further in the thumbnail stage. So you might want to think about rethinking the narrative, the line of sight, what you're telling with the story. Other than she's partially drowning or floating in water, she's not even drowning. And as you remember from movies, if someone's drowning, it's always a bird's eye. They're being pulled into the deep and their legs are disappearing, and the last thing we see is their hand. So that's one way to do it. If she's in danger, remember the Jaws movie poster, so let something be visible from the bottom. If she's having a late night swim and she has no idea what's going on, show a threatening character behind her, something in the deep as well. So there's not much going on narrative wise, which is why I don't know what to do with it. It's similar to the little owl we saw. He's a pinup. There's not much you can do with a pinup other than make everything look nice and present it. But this isn't a pinup. You're telling something, but you're telling only half of something. Something's missing. The other half of what she's looking at, what caused this. So a lot of the times when this happens, the student didn't intend for it to be a masterpiece. They went for a study of a face and tried to complete the rest. For this one, exactly the same. It's just another silhouette. It's just that you gave us highlights as if he's translucent around here. You don't really need to do that. So what I'm going to do is just correct the silhouette. But you're definitely going in the right direction. Great job on the silhouette. I'm just going to leave the bright bits you do have at the very top. Is this the guy that played Lancelot from Merlin? Isn't he like the hottest actor that ever was? Okay, so I'm gonna let some of his hair get some light, and that's with the dodge tool. Be careful with your dodge. You may see me using it, but I am licensed. Please make sure you've practiced enough with it in a safe environment. Alright, so I'm just letting the hair that is most outside get that. Some of these rims over here, some of his fabric of his shirt, get some of the light through it. But the silhouette needs to remain intact. Alright, the silhouette stops at the skeleton, or the silhouette stops at the most dense, opaque part. So this is very minimalist, which is what you did. You went for minimalism. Look at the background. And this actually decreased the amount of values you were using. The only way we can see this many values on his face is if the light was hitting his face, which it is not. So for minimalism, you try to hit as many birds with one stone. So I'm going to try to cool this down, decrease the saturation, so we can have some of that purple to defy that yellow. And then just darken it ever so slightly. Take a look. Before, after. It's a lot more of an impact. It's a complete silhouette, and I'm just going to go into the background. I mean, into the before. Silhouettes aren't magic. They're not something that is impossible to do. They are very possible. Oops. Okay. So I'm just deleting around these areas where I did the dodge tool. And before, after. And what you can do is just on the rim of, so here, merge, select inverse. Just on the rim of his character to bring back what you lost with the face detail, because you're obviously a portrait artist. And you didn't know what else to do besides over-render the portrait, even though you're in a silhouette. So you went for it. So now you're getting back what you lost. I'm gonna make this go crazy. Kind of like anime level saturation. Now we have an even more complete picture of what you were going for. The same character, his face is intact, but it's a complete silhouette. Right, and that's the danger of being a portrait artist. You think that's your only merit. It's not. It's not the only thing that's going to make your painting look wow. It's not the only thing that's going to make people say that. All right, this would make me wow more. I would stop my scrolling on Instagram and double click this before I double click this. I have seen 101 faces, but I never see a student with this much command over their light environment. So that's the thing that I invite. That's the thing that I promote. That's the thing that I like, that attracts my eye. This is more attractive. This shows a more mature understanding of your fundamentals. Which fundamental comes first, the room or the face? The room always. Even in a portrait, the room comes first. That's the question that you answer first. What is the light source? Where is it coming from? What is the light environment? And that all speaks room. That all speaks the environment, the situation that the character is in. You paint the world before you paint the character. Okay, so we've seen 101 faces. God, if I had a cent, I'd be a millionaire for every cute little face I saw painted on Instagram. But when I see something like this, I hover and I just stay there. I stay staring at it. Because at this point, it's a condition of the light source. That the diva of the painting, the pinup of the painting is the light source. Hey, look at this amazing light source. Let's look at some physics. We've seen faces. We always make humans the topic of every painting. But very little does an artist give time to talk about the light source. Okay. So any questions regarding any of these paintovers before I go to the last one? It's just a quick fix for the last one. Any questions? All right, let me see if anyone's in it. Istebrak never ceases to surprise me and teach me new stuff. Oh, thank you. This reminds me of that lesson that Istebrak talked about gesture, looking at for the best frame for the history you're trying to tell. That isn't the best frame. Yeah, you're right. But I don't mind it as much anymore now that the main idea is the light source. Do you get it? It's no longer about the best frame for the character. Who cares what gesture he's in? Now the diva of the painting, now the whole ordeal, that the main seat, front and center, is given to the light source doing this thing on him. Yes, it is about this character, D'Artagnan, and the Three Musketeers. But the point is the minimalism with which they painted him and reintroduced him to the audience. Okay. The lighting of his eye come from? For who? For this fella? For this dude? I just put it in there. You can take it off if you want. You can darken it. We're breaking a lot of rules with magical anatomy, with magical and fantasy characters and animal anatomy and cartoon anatomy. You can go ahead and darken that eye if you really want to be strict. Just don't darken it too much because then it's going to look like an evil little thing. Could you get some rays of moonlight? Careful with rays or lens flares or anything like that. They do way less than you think they do for a painting. Yeah, look at that sexy rim light. Shouldn't the clouds cover up some of the moon? They didn't look like they were thick enough to. If he is facing the window, the cast shadow should be also on him, not only on the wall. I don't know if this is the cast shadow on the wall of the window. I don't know if this is the window behind him. What the student was doing is he was silhouetted. This was silhouette. If this was a cast shadow coming off the background, coming off the window he's facing, we need to see the cast shadow of that. So kind of like up here. Cast shadow is displaced, of course. I'm trying to show where so this is really bad. Of the window. Do you see that? And that would have meant that we bring in all this crazy burn and dodge all over his face instead. You know what I'm saying? Because he's in front of the window. I don't think that's what the student was doing. Because there was an outline right here and right here. And there was an outline in the hair. You see that outline right here? They just didn't do it enough. I think they were in front of a window. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The lesson's still intact. Oh, was it about the previous painting? Okay. Do the shadows get a bit darker around the eyes or under the nose and chin? When you darken a face like this, you just don't use highlight, or you use less mid-tone. You don't really have cast shadows because there isn't direct light. Cast shadows are caused by direct light. Write that back to me. Alright, so if there's no direct light, there's no cast shadow. There might be softened shadows that were once cast shadows, but that's it. Alright, for this one, because your canvas was so small, it kind of stunted the growth of the head. So what that did was it made you do this. Shrink the head instead of give the head the right amount of size. If you can't tell what the size of the head is, look at the face while you adjust the head. Adjusting the head with your periphery vision, it'll actually help you find when too much is too much. Alright, so you see before, short, cut down, and then now it's the right size. And if we go back to your previous crop, then it'll be the right size. Before, after, before, after. Not much of a change, but it does show an issue that you have with your staging. This might have been a study that you turned into a painting. Beautiful study. Beautiful job hiding that far eye. I love that. Maybe you want to balance the eyes just a little bit. But that's it for today. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm sorry about my monotone eye. In order for me to function today, my tonsils were 2 coals of red hot lava. So I had to take a lot of Dayquil. And I was losing my voice, and Dayquil makes you drowsy and very weird, makes you feel very weird. So for you to get your work critiqued, just go to istebrak.com and click on the Google Plus icon and join. Some final announcements for those who want to join the holiday challenge. Go to the announcements category here in the community and read through it. It's a really fun challenge. I really want to live stream in an after hours tonight and try my hand at some thumbnails and see what I can come up with for this holiday challenge. It's a busy holiday town of unusual little holiday creatures. So it's not the usual human busy holiday town. You can't use typical holiday symbols. You kind of got to do your own thing with it. Like the creatures once watched what humans did during this holiday season and kind of did their own thing with it, because they don't understand what humans ever did with what the reason was that they did it for. So we remove all the Christian, leave some of the pagan symbols, and then just not paint Santa or mistletoe or any of that usual Christmas symbol. And then just find another take on what a tree that's decorated looks like. You know, just go with it. Just remove all religion from it. So yeah, I'll try to do an after hours if I feel better. I promise I'll try. I'm so sorry. I'm not my usual self. I even feel it. So that is done. Part 2 of Portrait Studio Update will be out very soon. I promise you guys, I am your representative for that. If for some reason the team is choosing a choice in the programming that is going to delay it a week, I promise you I will be representing you in the fact that sounds like I'm going on campaign or something. That I will delay that. I will choose of the changes the one that means a sooner release. Of course, quality will still be intact, but I will never make a choice that will delay it another week. It's going to kill me inside if I do that. I will choose and make sure that in the development room, I'm representing your interest and the fact that you're going to get the update as soon as possible. So I want to be as transparent about that as I can. I don't like delaying it. I want to make the trailer for it. I want to write up the manual for it. I want to make sure everyone gets their Portrait Studio copy before December holiday time, which I said there will be a small sale compared to the big one we just had, but there will be a sale. I can't wait for you guys to use it, to use Form Studio. It really has come full circle for us, and it's become such a beautiful project. And I thank everyone who was a part of it. Thank you everyone who's bought it. Thank you everyone who watched today. I will see you guys on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye guys.